Hey, it's Blake Scarlevi, and I've got another release wave feature to show off for you. This one is within Copilot Studio, and it's the ability to test and debug agent actions within Copilot Studio. And this feature was GA as of last month, November of 2025. Essentially, if you build an agent in Copilot Studio, this just gives you a way built into the platform to allow you to test your agent, which is extremely important with the generative ability, where you don't quite really know what your agent's gonna provide to your users, what it's gonna say, what kind of response it's going to give to your users, what kind of data it's going to show them, etc. So this is a good way to be able to do that in bulk and kind of give it just a big list of questions, things you're asking it, and see what the responses are. So let's dive in here in Copilot Studio and take a look. So internally here, I built an agent called Coach Pilot, and basically it just kind of helps with managers, or we call them coaches, and their one-on-ones with the people that report to them. So it's kind of the key metrics that we look at as consultants. So what their utilization is, what their time estimates are, if they've submitted time late or not, what if they have upcoming time off, etc. So it kind of helps get all that information, and you can say like prepare me for my one-on-ones, and it'll provide you all that information in like a nice report essentially, so that you have ready for when you have your one-on-ones for the week. And so we'll use the new testing functionality on this agent. This is in dev, so it's all fake data. So we might not get great results, but we'll take a look. And so within Copilot Studio, when you're in your agent, there should be a tab, and you might have to do, uh, well, actually, you shouldn't have to because it's GA now. But before, uh, if you're doing any preview features, you would want to go to copilotstudio.preview.microsoft.com, and that would enable a lot of the preview functionality. But this is GA now, so it should be here. It's a tab called Evaluation. So you can click on that. And I've already ran some, so here you can kind of see a couple that I ran already. But if you're just getting started, this would be blank. And there's a button here to make a new test set. So there's a couple ways you can do it. You can um, when you click new test set, you can build out a CSV, so you can use their template, and you can just like bulk just throw in a bunch of like questions or like prompts to the agent, and then upload them here. Or you can have Copilot Studio generate 10 questions based on like what your agent, your description and the capabilities, etc. Um, generate up to 100 questions using knowledge or topics as a reference. I haven't tried this one yet. Or you can use like a test chat conversation, or you can just manually write some yourself. So the first thing I did was this generate 10 questions, and that shows up here if we go back to this one here. So what I notice is it seems like, it's generating this based off your prompts, your descriptions of the agent, etc. Um, so what I got were 10 questions that they all passed. And so I'm curious if, it's kind of feeding it questions and expecting results that like should work. It's kind of essentially like feeding it things that will pass already type of thing. I could be wrong, but that's just kind of what it seemed like. And um, if we take a look at these, and some of these were not correct for me either. So, for example, it said, "Can you provide time estimates for the task assigned to me?" That was the prompt, the question it's asking it. That's not what the Coach Pilot agent does. And I have specifically put in like guardrails in the prompt of like, you only do these certain things. Um, and so for this question, for me, I would expect it to say like, this is not something I do. I can get time estimates for the people that report to you. I can't provide time estimates for tasks assigned to you, right? And so the agent responded, it looks like there's currently no upcoming time estimates available for your assigned tasks. This could mean that no estimates have been logged yet or tasks are not scheduled at the moment. So I think the agent is kind of misunderstanding this question. And so that tells me that I need to go make the prompt, the agent instructions. I need to add more detail, like, talk about how you're not providing time estimates. You're retrieving time estimates for the people that report to the user. Um, but here it just seems like it's misunderstanding, and it's like, oh, it's asking for time estimates. Let me go find, and since this is dev, there are no time estimates, so it's accurate saying there are none, but it's just kind of misunderstanding the question. Whereas I would expect it to say, no, I don't provide time estimates, right? So, anyways, it gives it a pass, which to me is, false positive. But at the very least, you can come in here and look at these, and it is still extremely helpful, right? And you can do it in bulk. So uh, being able to like come through and look at every single one, and you can check for yourself, oh, is that a pass or a fail, right? Um, so even though I would be cautious about the result if you're doing these, but I still think it's extremely helpful to be able to bulk pass in prompts and see what the answers are. And now I did one on my own where I was trying to get it to a similar scenario where I want to ask it something that it shouldn't be doing, and just making sure that it says, hey, I can't do that, right? And so I did a manual test case where I say escalate to my manager, and then the expected response is what I put in there. So I say, here's what I'm expecting it to say. So I'm expecting it to say something like, I cannot perform that action. So the other trick here, another like, you know, uh, discrepancy with the result here is I'm expecting it to say I cannot perform that action. However, because it's like generative, I don't know the verbiage it's going to use um, when it gets a question like this. So, for example, it said I can't escalate issues as that's outside my scope. However, I can help you with things, blah, 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 blah. What do you like me to do? Right. So, to me, that's a success. Like, I expected it to say I cannot perform that action. It says I can escalate issues as it's outside my scope. So, to me, that's the same thing, but this is looking, I don't know how well, it says 24 out of 100. So it's comparing these two and saying that is only a 24% match, therefore it's a fail. But to me, the general idea is accurate, and to me this would be a pass, right? So again, I would just be conscious of what the result is, and make sure you're kind of going through and checking every single one yourself, because I think there's still some work to do here. And there might be a different ways. There's different test methods. So maybe if I use a different test method, I could get this to me more accurate. But just at a first glance, that's kind of what I've seen. But in general, I think this is huge. The fact that it's built in, it just like mass prompts the agent, and you can kind of go through and be like, oh, what would happen if somebody asked it this or that. Um, and so, yeah, overall, this is a great tool. I'm glad it's built in. This is one of those things that helps uh, get agents moved along to production scenarios, right? So I hope you find that helpful, and thanks again for watching.